I seriously didn't know that things got this bad for this Rachel Zegler Snow White movie, but I'm reading this right now, and I'm worried about Rachel Zegler's career. I don't see how she comes back from this. There are empty theaters all around the country. We are now at a 1 out of 10 on IMDb for the new Snow White, and couldn't happen to a better person.
Doesn't need a prince to save her, and not surrounded by 7 weird people. Oh, okay, just CGI fictional goblins, I guess.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
She's now bragging about the success of Snow White, which is a movie that's going to lose hundreds of millions of dollars, and mainly because of her, and because nobody wanted to support her.
Controversy around the film began ever since we learned that there would be no Prince Charming because apparently he kissed her without consent, and also no woman needs a man to rescue her. The movie also used CGI for the 7 dwarfs rather than actors because they thought using real people would be offensive.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat. Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
And if she hadn't have opened her mouth, I think that this movie might have done well. They might have just been able to ride on the hopium of the movie and some well-cut trailers, and people would have paid to go see it. And then it would have fallen off when people knew it was garbage.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
But Rachel Zegler made it so hateable that you really sabotaged and took hundreds of millions of dollars from the studio. I don't know how anyone would ever want to go into business with her ever.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Yeah, we had more dwarfs than we did viewers in most of these theaters. And as you know, there were no dwarfs other than some CGI weird generated version of them.
You know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Do you know, how hard it is to find an attractive young woman in Hollywood who can act and sin? It's not hard. Who just isn't going to offend half the country.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
Disney's Bob Iger says their mission is to entertain, not send messaging as Snow White sales compete for worst performing live-action Disney adaptation ever.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed. She's unhappy. The reality is she's just not stable. Like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
Don't alienate half of the country when you're putting out a product meant to appeal to all. It's the Michael Jordan Republicans buy sneakers.
Rachel Zegler is reportedly experiencing intense emotional distress following reports that several independent retailers across the country have begun pulling Snow White merchandise from their shelves. This surprising move comes amid ongoing backlash surrounding Disney's upcoming live-action remake of the classic film, in which Zegler stars as the titular character. Sources indicate that store owners are reacting to mounting public dissatisfaction and online outrage, much of it focused on the film's modern reinterpretation and Zegler's past comments about the original fairy tale. Already under significant public scrutiny, Zegler is said to be deeply affected by this latest development, with insiders describing her response as an emotional breakdown behind the scenes.
Some of you want us to hire actual dwarf humans, and then we thought we would have CGI magical creatures. How about this? We'll still offend the dwarves, but we'll CGI dwarf.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, how badly did Disney's new Snow White flop after all?
According to insiders familiar with the situation, Rachel Zegler was informed of the merchandise removal during a private meeting with her PR team and Disney executives. Her reaction, one observer noted, was immediate and emotional. Zegler reportedly broke down in tears, expressing shock and frustration over how quickly the situation had escalated. What was once expected to be a career-defining role has instead become a public relations crisis. The decision by small businesses to pull Snow White merchandise is being widely interpreted as a significant vote of no confidence in both the film and Zegler's involvement. Even more damaging is the symbolism behind the move when independent retailers, who closely follow consumer sentiment, choose to distance themselves from a major Disney property. It reflects a level of disapproval that even the studio can't afford to overlook. The removal of Snow White merchandise from store shelves has intensified growing calls on social media to boycott the film entirely. Hashtags like #BoycottSnowWhite and #NotMySnowWhite have gained significant traction, with many users applauding store owners for taking a stand against what they view as a disrespectful reinterpretation of a cherished classic. Rachel Zegler's past remarks about the original 1937 animated film, calling it outdated and regressive, continue to fuel backlash. For many critics, the merchandise boycott is seen as a direct consequence of those controversial statements. They argue that Zegler's dismissive tone toward the original story and its legacy has alienated loyal Disney fans, and that the current fallout was both predictable and, at this point, unavoidable. Store owners who decided to pull Snow White merchandise have pointed to a sharp decline in customer interest, along with direct complaints about the film's promotional materials. One toy store owner in the Midwest described the merchandise as a dead product, noting that shoppers simply weren't interested anymore. A boutique operator in California echoed that sentiment, saying she couldn't justify keeping items on the shelves that not only failed to sell but were actively driving customers away. These anecdotal accounts paint a troubling picture for Snow White's commercial future, underscoring just how deeply the ongoing controversy has impacted public support for the film. This growing wave of rejection has placed significant pressure on Disney, a studio already grappling with a series of underperforming remakes and mounting criticism over its recent creative direction. In an effort to manage the backlash, Disney has reportedly initiated damage control measures, including editing promotional content, reducing Rachel Zegler's public appearances, and refocusing the narrative around the film's intended message of empowerment. However, the involvement of independent retailers in the backlash has escalated the situation. According to sources, Disney executives are now holding crisis meetings to reassess their strategy moving forward. The concern is no longer just about Snow White. There's growing fear that if grassroots resistance continues to build, it could have broader consequences, potentially jeopardizing the future performance of Disney's entire live-action remake slate. For Rachel Zegler, the emotional toll of the controversy is reportedly overwhelming. Sources close to the actress say she feels unfairly targeted and is struggling to grasp how the situation deteriorated so rapidly. What she once hoped would be a breakthrough role cementing her place as a leading figure in Hollywood has instead become a lightning rod for criticism. Friends and colleagues describe Zegler as feeling increasingly isolated and anxious, particularly as public sentiment around the project continues to unravel. The uncertainty has sparked internal speculation about her future with Disney, with some questioning whether the studio will continue to support her in upcoming projects or begin to quietly distance itself in an effort to move past the controversy. Industry analysts are already forecasting significant losses for the Snow White remake if current trends persist. The removal of merchandise from store shelves marks a major blow to Disney's marketing efforts, as retail partnerships are a key pillar of the studio's promotional strategy. Without those outlets, Disney loses vital opportunities to build excitement and generate revenue beyond the box office. Merchandise sales often serve as a barometer for audience interest. Right now, that signal is deeply negative. Marketing experts are calling this one of the most damaging retail responses to a Disney release in recent memory. The ripple effects could extend well beyond this film, potentially impacting licensing agreements, brand partnerships, and future retail collaborations across Disney's broader portfolio. Fans of the original Snow White are increasingly voicing their disappointment not only with Rachel Zegler, but with Disney's overall approach to the remake. Many argue that, in its effort to modernize the story, the studio has stripped away the heart and timeless charm that made the classic so beloved. This sentiment is echoed by numerous customers who have complained to store owners, saying they don't want their children growing up with a version of Snow White. That feels more like a political message than a magical fairy tale. The growing disconnect between the creators' vision and the audience's expectations is being cited as a major factor behind the film's struggling merchandise sales and, potentially, its broader reception as well. The public response has been swift and unrelenting. Videos showing empty Snow White merchandise shelves have gone viral, with users mocking Disney's marketing misfire and openly questioning whether the film will even see a wide release if momentum continues to collapse. Some influencers and cultural commentators are calling the situation a wake-up call for Hollywood, arguing that studios need to be more in tune with audience sentiment rather than pushing forward with projects that feel disconnected or For Rachel Zegler, the spectacle of watching merchandise tied to her film pulled from stores is being widely viewed as both a personal and professional low point. Behind the scenes, Disney executives are reportedly in crisis mode, with internal discussions ranging from delaying the film's release to overhauling the marketing strategy entirely. Some insiders, however, believe it may already be too late. The public has made up its mind. The idea that a beloved classic like Snow White could face this level of rejection would have seemed unthinkable just a few years ago. Yet the situation has become so volatile that even small retailers feel empowered to push back against one of the most powerful entertainment brands in the world. This kind of grassroots backlash is rare in Hollywood, and its implications could be As for Rachel Zegler, sources say she is seriously considering stepping out of the spotlight at least temporarily to regroup. The relentless media scrutiny, combined with the collapse of what was supposed to be her breakout role, has reportedly taken a significant toll on her mental health. Friends close to the actress are urging her to take a step back, seek support, and reevaluate her path forward in an industry that has quickly turned unpredictable.